the Arizona Cardinals played a near perfect football game in their routing of the Rams. Felt good. Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. Follow me on Twitter, Clancy's Corner _. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen. Free wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase. What did we just watch? What in the wide world of perfection was that? Welcome to the NFL, Marvin Harrison Jr. Woo! The dictionary definition of bounce back from week 1 to week 2 in all facets we witnessed today. Namely, on top of Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr., Budda Baker and James Conner. If you've been listening to this show for the last, 3 years, it's always extend Budda Baker and James Conner, extend Budda Baker and James Conner. I'll talk about in the third segment why today is all you need to see pertaining to that beyond this season. The Jonathan Gannon effect. What does it mean? I'll discuss that in the second segment. But first, let's just kumbaya here for a second. The Cardinals at this point have put up 69 points in the first 2 weeks. They're 1-1, and this offense looked special today. And sure, before getting into the numbers, before getting into the highlights, before getting into anything else, the Rams obviously were severely undermanned. They only had 40% of their starting offensive line. Puka Nakua's out. Cooper Kupp goes out before halftime. So what this was, and I talked about this on the Friday show going into today, it's prove it time. Any NFL team, going up against another NFL team with this many injuries need to do exactly what the Cardinals did today. So this isn't negating or taking away the impact of today's win. And it's also showing that the Arizona Cardinals take care of business when they're absolutely needed to do it. It's like this was a no-doubter right away. And that's what it should have been. The Rams are completely hobbled across their entire roster. So what they did today was exactly what they were supposed to do today, and they just did it in incredible fashion at a time where there needed to be confirmation that the shortcomings from week 1 were exceptions to the rule and not what we're going to be seeing for the future. Marvin Harrison, come on, man. Come on. The first touchdown catch, bonkers. And was it a catch? Doesn't matter. Play stood. Fantastic. It was a good ball by Kyler. It was bang, bang. He got both of his feet down, and he was able to cradle the ball and, not have a call get overturned. The second touchdown we're going to see, in my humblest of opinions, a lot of these this year. Not necessarily for, 70-plus yard touchdowns. But if Marvin Harrison Jr. can angle himself to where Kyler Murray can lead him behind the corner or the safety who's defending him, we're going to see these because Kyler can just throw it up and Marvin Harrison Jr. go get it. The second touchdown, while he's not the fastest dude, okay? Malik Neighbors is faster. Xavier Worthy's obviously faster. I mean, there's guys who are faster than Marvin Harrison Jr., but the way he extended to get the ball across into pay dirt without having his knee go down, that is otherworldly athleticism and talent. He's running at full speed for him. He's got 2 guys on him, and he just full extends for a touchdown. Unbelievable. There was the broken play with Kyler Murray was running like a crazy person. It was very, very much like week 1 in Tennessee 2 years ago when Kyler Murray did that same side of the field and threw it to Rondale Moore on a broken play. Marvin Harrison Jr. was just out there, and there was a large chunk in there. It was wild to watch. Now, what we did see a little bit of, not to be a wet blanket whatsoever, but the 2 timing routes where Marvin Harrison Jr. was one-on-one on the left side of the field, Kyler Murray and him, that's just timing. That's practice and rapport on an NFL field in an NFL game, not just in practice. They'll figure that out. There's going to be, I think it's going to be a very Mike Evans-y kind of thing where you're just going to throw it up and have Marvin Harrison Jr. go get it over what's most likely a corner who's shorter than him. But what we saw today was an unlocking of potential for the next, 10 years. I was going to say 5 until the contract negotiations come in, but 4 for 130. He didn't have another catch, but it didn't matter. The game was completely out of reach at that point. James Conner, 21 for 122 and a touchdown, running like a man possessed. I still, again, 21 touches is a lot, man. That's a lot of carries. And none of the other running backs are really, Amari DeMarcado broke off a huge chunk gain after all of the starters were pulled. But James Conner touching the ball that much. That's one thing that we just need to monitor. It's one thing that I've said he should not be touching the ball that much. 15, 17 times, fine. And it's a big difference. You're chunking off 30%. If James Conner gets hurt, a lot of this stuff changes. And you don't want that. Obviously, first of all, because he's a human being. And second of all, for this offense to hum, it's gone through him since he came over in free agency. Kyler Murray, over 300 all-purpose yards. Another 5 rushes for another over 50 yards rushing. He just looks comfortable and he looks healthy. Now, with all of that, the star of the show, aside from Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray early on, the offensive line was a vision. And I'll tell you what, where the injuries aren't for the Rams is their front 7. I think they do have 1 or 2 injuries that Travis Rogers from Locked On Rams and I discussed, but the Cardinals' offensive line, especially the interior, played incredibly well today, both in run and pass protection. And it's just when things go well, and they don't stop going well for pretty much the entirety of the game. Sure, you had the lucky bounce of Trey McBride recovering a James Conner fumble for a touchdown. Those are Looney Tunes things that happen. But you then see what the absolute 100% potential is for this team. You see it. It's not, if these things happen and then, this and what you see it. And sure, again, it was against a severely undermanned NFL roster. And the Cardinals didn't give up 24 points to a severely undermanned NFL roster. They absolutely dominated a division foe that drops the Rams to 0-2. San Francisco lost today. They're 1-1. The Cardinals are 1-1. And then Seahawks pulled one out against New England. But what I'm seeing right now, and I like to do this, the best entity, whether it be an offensive side or a defensive side, if any team in any side of the ball in the NFC West, you still give the 49ers defense the number 1. I'm giving the Cardinals offense number 2. Over anything in Seattle, the Rams are a mess. And until Christian McCaffrey comes back, if he does, they looked very, very pedestrian when Brock Purdy had to, carry the weight today. And they ended up losing to Minnesota. This was the perfect time for a perfect blowout win, not only to unlock Marvin Harrison Jr., to show Kyler Murray's health and strength and rapport with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride and James Conner, but really the defense doing what they needed to do in an effort to shut down an undermanned offense, just to show that they can. All of that wrapped together. Chef's kiss. What is the Jonathan Gannon effect? I'm going to tell you next. Locked On Cardinals, your team, yours, every day. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll. And you can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks puts their members first, so withdrawals are fast, safe, secure. When my picks hit, I can get my monies as quick as 15 minutes, man. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks. Run your game. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is also brought to you by DoorDash. Here's the thing. Football's finally back, which means it's time to order your favorite food on game day. Snacks, drinks, DoorDash. You don't have to miss a play. They do all the work for you. Like, this is how I used to. Okay, so I set up, got Sunday ticket rolling, and I'm starving. Okay. DoorDash has all of these restaurants. They don't traditionally deliver, obviously, because that's what their service is. Julio's too, one of my favorite restaurants here, Scottsdale, one of the best Mexican restaurants I've had. DoorDash. Oh, cool. Oh, order. Oh, sweet. Oh, all right. 25 minutes. Sweet. Order. 20 minutes later, boop, on your front doorstep. You don't miss a play. You're watching Kyler Murray. You're watching Marvin Harrison Jr. You don't have to miss a dang play. And DoorDash does everything for you. Use promo code LOCKEDFALL24 for 50% off up to $10 value when you spend $15 on your first order. Limited time offer, terms apply. Promo is not valid for orders containing alcohol. DoorDash, your door to game day greatness, your door to more. Download the DoorDash app now to order your game day favorites. Must be 21 plus to order alcohol. Drink responsibly. Alcohol available only in select markets. Whew. 41-10, Cardinals win. It's kind of also like on top of all of that, it's kind of like they got one. They got one. And when you look across the landscape of the NFL, there is a lot of bad quarterback play. A lot, man. So much. So reinforcing that this is Kyler Murray at his absolute peak best. It's still there, and he's healthy, and he's got Marvin Harrison Jr., he's got Trey McBride, he's got James Conner. The defense showed up today. Like, how could you be happier than you are right now after watching that game? And I'll tell you what, I don't remember the last time I said that when the Cardinals weren't well under 500. I think I said that when they beat the Cowboys. I was like, this is the most fun I've ever had hosting this podcast was this week and that game. It was week 3, I believe, of last week when they actually demolished the Packers the Cowboys with Josh Dobbs. Oh, feels good. The Jonathan Gannon effect. Here's the thing. What Jonathan Gannon has these guys doing has yielded this team cohesion that we haven't really seen in a while, like a long while. There are no divas on this team. None. Patrick Peters is a diva every second he was on the field. He was never a leader. He was never, he was a captain. He was never a leader. The Jonathan Gannon effect gets the most out of everybody. Dennis Gardeck, 2 sacks. Zaven Collins, 1 sack today. And while, again, the offensive line was hobbled, we haven't seen Zaven Collins in the backfield sacking somebody in a while. Dennis Gardeck, neither. So the fact that they got 3 sacks, I think Dennis Gardeck actually got a third one that resulted in a fumble late. It's the Jonathan Gannon effect. Everybody is on the same page. Everybody trusts everyone else around them. Jonathan Gannon gives Drew Petzing naturally the free reign of the offense. He and Nick Rallis are getting the most out of a very young and unproven defense. And what we've seen through 2 weeks, while they struggled against the MVP last week in Josh Allen, the resiliency is there. The no give up is there. And that's something that Jonathan Gannon ushered in when he took over as head coach. Jonathan Gannon does not look stressed on the sidelines ever. The one time he cracked a smile during a mid-game interview was when they asked about Marv. He's like, told you guys, everything's going to be fine. It's a calm demeanor that permeates. It's like through osmosis. It's like if your coach looks like that on the sideline, you have this inherent calmness that you breathe. You could see it with Kyler Murray today. Kyler Murray, he had some hairy situations today in the backfield, but the methodical and calmness that he showed today while, people were playing whack-a-mole with him and they couldn't catch him. It's level-headed, it's mature, and it's something that is learned not just through experience, but through tutelage and coaching. Kyler Murray grew up with Jonathan Gannon. The Jonathan Gannon effect naturally starts with Kyler Murray. But, that's not necessarily fair. Player, direct correlative to player. It starts with completely shattering the foundation that the Cardinals had before and rebuilding. We saw it all year last year, even week 1 against Washington, where they should have won that game. Cardinals should have won 7 or 8 games last year. They didn't have the talent. But that's preparation, that's coaching, that's leadership. And it's something that, at this point, it's undeniable. The majority of NFL teams have dysfunction. All NFL teams in some capacity, unless you're the Chiefs, have dysfunction. Shoot, I mean, the Steelers don't even really have dysfunction, except for, bad quarterback play. But when you look at the Cardinals and you look at their future and you look across the NFL, question marks at quarterback, question marks at position groups, question marks at this, question marks at coach, question marks at GM, question marks at, whatever it is. They're one of the more stable situations that we have in the NFL now. And it's not to say they're going to win a Super Bowl next year. It's not to say that they're going to make the playoffs this year. But you got to start somewhere. And while I know fans, every day, I know some of you are like this, here in my comments, want it now because they've waited long enough, and you have. Pretty much forever. This is how things are built. And again, after today, it's not to say that Cardinals going to run off 6 wins and make the playoffs and win the NFC West. And, the Cardinals taking care of business, looking like the more poised team when Sean McVay is on the other sideline, that is a paradigm shift than what we've seen over the last 6 years. Ever since Sean McVay took over. It's important. And we're starting to see it unfold in front of our eyes. And today was kind of it's nice to be able to say something like this after a win. Because usually, over the last year, I've been saying it after a loss. Where it's like, listen, yes, they lost. And look at all the things that Jonathan Gannon prepared these guys for. Fruits of your labor is after a win. And that's what this entire segment's about. And listen, nothing's perfect. Cardinals were pretty perfect today. Jonathan Gannon has these guys prepared, has them ready, and now they've got the talent. Could be special. It'll be very interesting to see what happens when they play Detroit next week. But through 2 weeks, really could be a lot worse. Budda Baker and James Conner need extensions before the end of this season. I'll discuss next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by the Game Time app. Game Time now has a feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Not only do they have the Game Time Picks, they've got all-in pricing. You can toggle this feature that shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. So you don't have to worry about it at all. But you do remember you do have to turn on the feature. Toggle it, turn it on. Seat views. You get a panoramic view from your seat before you buy by clicking on the tickets. It takes the guesswork completely out of buying tickets. It's absolutely incredible. And then they've got the lowest price guarantee. They've got the lowest price, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets. Lowest price guarantee. Woo! 41-10. Feels good. Just feels good. Cardinals have the Rams coming off a loss to Tampa Bay today. They have the Rams next, or they have the Lions next week. Should be interesting. It'll be kind of a litmus test, especially with the front seven that has wreaked havoc across the NFL. Aiden Hutchinson, 5 sacks today. So that's going to be a big test for the Cardinals offensive line. It'll be interesting to see what happens. After today, anything is like this is in a vacuum. Perfect. This is exactly how great the Cardinals offense can be. He was played really well today too, obviously. But, this is how great the offense can be. Now, Kyler Murray, Dipsy Doodling in the backfield, has a shelf life, of course. Like the fact that he got away from a couple sacks today is it's mind-blowing to me. But, he did. Marvin Harrison Jr. showed out. And then the game flow really didn't mean – it would have been interesting to see if this was a shootout. If it was 21-20 at halftime or something like that, 21-17, 21-14, if they would have had to still throw the ball more. It was a lot more Trey McBride in the second half, but I think it was just circumstantial. I don't think that there's anything really to worry about with Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, he had all of his touches in the first quarter, but who cares? Budda Baker was an absolute man possessed today. He looked like year 3 Budda Baker. He was behind the line of scrimmage, tackling running backs before they get to the line of scrimmage after getting the ball handed off to them. He saved a touchdown with Kyron Williams on a flank pass, open field tackle. He's just an absolute wizard over the top. James Conner, 21 carries, 122 yards and a touchdown. Looks as young as he did when he joined the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals must extend both of them before the season starts next year. The Arizona Cardinals must extend Budda Baker and James Conner before the end of the 2024 season. And it's not going to be for shattering numbers that you're going to reset the safety or running back market. But the Cardinals have a lot of money to spend, and they are the 2 most important non-quarterback players to the culture of this team. And it's not close. Budda Baker is like the original Arizona Cardinal who's on this roster. James Conner, people are going to forget that he was signed by the Pittsburgh Steelers and played a couple years there before coming to play for the Cardinals. People are going to forget that if they haven't already. While the Cardinals drafted Adrian Taylor-Demerson and drafted Trey Benson, that in no way means that either of those guys are just going to be ready to supplant Budda Baker and James Conner next season. It's very rare that a running back just comes in and balls out. Unless, you're Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, guys who went super high. I know Trey Benson was their first pick in the 3rd round, but James Conner Trey Benson had 11 rushes for 10 yards today. James Conner is spry. Budda Baker is spry. The beauty of this is their age will actually work as a benefit for the Cardinals because they have no leverage when wanting all of the money in all of the lands. Budda Baker is going to want more than James Conner. But I'll tell you what. Out of all the – nope, almost slipped up there. Almost slipped up with my promise. I think that doesn't count, but I'm still not going to say it. Budda Baker is so important to this organization. And I'll tell you what. This is a good way to tell for the people who – and everybody, my boys in this business, everybody thinks that they should move off from every single person. And it's fine. And I'm not trying to counter program here. If James Conner and Budda Baker are not re-signed by the Cardinals, 31 other NFL teams will be in their proverbial DMs. 31. Every other NFL team will be in their DMs. What else do you need to know? Yes, maybe you have to pay kind of a premium. They're going to have all the money in the world to spend next year. And you know what is really important? You know what money can't buy? Peace of mind that 2 positions are going to be taken care of and you're not going to have to worry about it. Sure, Budda Baker got turned around by Demarcus Robinson today. Okay, sure. But that doesn't mean that his age is advanced enough to where you just let him walk. It's the dumbest thing. Look at Tyrann Mathieu in New Orleans. And I'm not comparing the 2 directly. They play somewhat similarly, even though Tyrann Mathieu has had more success because he's been on winning teams with Kansas City. This is a no-brainer to extend them for 2 more years. It's not 5 years each. Extend them for 2 more years. I wouldn't even do an out after the second year, after the first year. Have them retire Arizona Cardinals. And then when you do have those guys coming in that are ready at that point, year 3, to take over the role, then maybe you say goodbye after that, if then. But if you watch today and you tell me that Budda Baker and James Conner are anywhere close to the end of their career, I'll get you drug tested. I would. I wouldn't. It's not going to be perfect from either of them. James Conner is a lot closer because it's running back. It's different. But Budda Baker is a top 10 easy safety in the league. Easy. Worth it. Him and Jalen Thompson together. Worth it. James Conner and Trey Benson, the 1-2 punch, or Amari Mercado, whoever the hell it's going to be. Worth it. Extend him. Set and forget. Don't have to worry about it. Don't have to go into the offseason wondering. Extend him. Check mark. Pillars of the Arizona Cardinals organization, and move the hell on. Alex Lancey, Locked On Cardinals. Remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you tomorrow.